Also, I usually would put this out here for one thing, keeps people away from here. We were talking about breathing in that LP. It's just something that it makes them go out and around and keeps them away from there. Also, this will get hot, guys. That's something to be careful of too. If you got some really young ones, that's something you kind of want to watch them around that. Now, as we're going on, moving our way around, okay, we also have, this is our plug for our solar panel. If you ever bought a solar panel, sounds to me like you're not going to go off the grid camping like some of our customers do up in the mountains of Colorado.
We might.
If you do, you can buy a solar panel. They range anywhere from $200 up to $800 depending on how big you would like to go. But what you would do is set that solar panel up outside, and what it'll do is during the day when the sun is out, it's going to charge that deep cycle battery.
So you have an inverter on this.
This is wired to the point where when you plug that panel in, it will charge that
So you
battery.
don't have to. Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
So it'll
that's
charge
neat.
that battery up.
Okay. And do you sell those solar panels?
We
or-
can order them, yeah. I think we have 1 or 2 in stock of the popular models, and the rest we order.
So that allows you to go off grid.
Correct.
Probably not AC
And
off
again,
grid.
exactly. You can't run AC off of it. Really, all it's going to allow you to run is really the lights is going to be the main portion
Okay.
that you'll be able to run.
And the water pump.
And the water pump, yeah, absolutely. Moving around, the next thing we have, guys, is our hot water heater, okay? Something I would like you to take a peek at. On the hot water heater itself, if you want to take the camera down here so we can see it, there's a switch down here that says on and off. That switch right now is off, okay? That is not the switch. And again, not the switch to turn your hot water heater on and off. What that is controlling the electric side of your hot water heater. With this switch in the off position like it is in right now, this is going to run off propane only. This hot water heater will. That's how I personally suggest running your water heater. Run it off propane. The reason I say that, the propane is more forgiving. So when you're getting the camper set up, especially with being kind of a newbie around it, if for whatever reason, if you're getting the camper all set up and you don't have water hooked up to it, next thing you know, you go onto the inside of the camper and you're starting to turn lights on, and what do you see? You see the hot water heater switch and you go, oh yeah, we're going to want hot water, so I flip the switch on. Well, if I don't have water in the tank, that propane gradually heats that water up. The electric side, if it was on the electric side and you flip that switch on one time, it burns the heating element up on that water heater in a split second. So you have to be careful. Gas, I'd always tell people, gas is a little more forgiving than what the electric side is.
So leave that off.
I would leave that off if it was me. That's what I always did in my camper, but it's completely up to you. Once you've been around the camper a little bit
Erase
more,
that on your thing so we don't even remember it.
once you get a little bit more comfortable with it, once you've had the camper a little bit more, that's when all of a sudden now you'll probably turn it on the electric side and use it on the electric side.
Hello? Yes. Yeah. Oh, okay, great. Okay, great, thanks. Bye. Go ahead.
No problem. I'm gonna skip one thing, okay? Because I want to be able to get under here, but I don't want us to duck our head. So if you don't mind, we're gonna skip ahead real quick, and I'm gonna show you how we're gonna put these beds in.
All right.
These shamrocks, they kind of have to hop around because it makes room to get around.
Okay.
We're coming to the inside of the camper. Always watch your head. I do that every single time I do that. All right. We had asked about these little plugs here, okay? Well, what these plugs are, they have little fans. Almost like a headset. But what I can do now is if I wanted a fan blowing on me, I can put this on. I can turn the fan on. High, low, plugs right in here. I can have this blowing on me this way. But then also, I have my own light. So now I could pull these curtains closed, and you'll actually have like your own ceiling fan. And you have one of these, there's 3, so each bed will have its own fan. The next thing we have for each mattress is you're going to have a plug like this for each mattress. What this does, plugs into the mattress right over here, this plugs into the wall, they're heated mattresses. So, just like having an electric blanket at home,
Wow.
you actually have heated mattresses for each bed.
So you say it plugs into the
Plugs
wall.
in right there,
Oh,
plugs in right here,
okay.
and then you have an outlet that's close by, like around here. Where's your closest outlet to this bed? Should be one right down here somewhere. we got one somewhere. I just don't remember where exactly it is. Oh, right, it's under the dinette.
I remember seeing it.
Yeah, there's an outlet around.
Yeah, I just can't remember.
Oh well, we'll come across it. I know it's in here somewhere. Oh, am I missing it? Aha! Tucked back in here. I'm like, what in the world am I doing? It's one right here.
Oh, okay.
And again, you can plug your mattress in there, but also a place for an alarm clock, a place for a cell phone, anything like that.
Okay.
So you do have the cargo net up here too for storage. We have the bar going under this right now, but what a lot of people do, they'll actually have the bar on top of the cargo net so then they can stick, if they wanted to put towels or anything like that up there, they can. So to be able to put this out, you'll notice the bar, it'll fit on the end there, and you push this out. There are 3 different settings for how tight you want the fabric. See these 3 little hooks?
Yeah.
So it just depends on where you want it.
Okay.
Well, what makes you decide?
What makes you decide, honestly, the temperature outside. Because this fabric, again, if it was really warm outside and that fabric's warm, I might be able to stretch it all the way out to here, to the last
gotcha.
one. When it's cold and it's contracted, I might only be able to get it into the first one.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, it'll always be changing. That's the reason for them. When you go to fold this up, I will put this bar right here in the middle, okay? Then what I do is take my mattress. My bar always sit right here. Deal there. Now I take my mattress. My mattress will fold up just like so. Now, if you wouldn't mind following me outside. What I'm going to do, pick this up here. I'm literally just going to tuck my fabric in. Walk around to the other side. Tuck my fabric in on this side. Get it away from the seal.
So this is best done with 2 people. I remember this.
Okay. And you can just hit.
All right.
Hold it nice and tight. The front one's kind of tricky because you have to step over the hitch. The other sides, they go in real nice and smooth. Are we good so far? Any questions up to this point?
Yep.
Okay. Now we're getting to the business end of the camping.
All right. Just glad I'm videoing.
Your propane tanks, guys.
2.
We have 2 propane tanks.
Yay.
The next thing we have, this little deal here. This is what we call the regulator. So check this out. Right now, what color is this? It's red. When I turn this on, it goes green, showing that I have propane in my tank. When you run out of propane here, this is going to turn red. Well, what do? What I do is I flip over to this one, shut this one off. I can undo this T-handle here. I can loosen that up, take this tank off, take it, get it refilled or replace it, bring it back and put it on. Then when this one runs out, you do the same thing. That's why we do the 20-pound bottles on these models. The bigger bottles, they don't exchange them very often. This, I can stop at a Casey's, I can stop at a Huck's, I can stop anywhere and get this either filled or exchanged out so I'm never out of propane. Now, say you were getting low on your bottle here. Well, I don't want to get up in the middle of the night and have that furnace shut off, and it's going to be cold. I know I got a little bit left in here, and I know I got a full one over here. What you can do is I can turn this valve and put it dead center, and what it's going to do is now it's going to pull off both. So it'll take this one and empty this one out, but if this one empties, it's also pulling off this one.
Okay.
I don't suggest you do that the whole time you're camping, because when you're out, but it is possible to do so.
Got it.
As long as we have this off, this propane cover off, if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to have you peek your head right over here. Because what we have here, guys, your camper is coming equipped with a battery switch. Right now, that battery switch, this is actually its own key. It's in the on position. Now, when I go to store my camper, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to turn this off. All right, now it's in the off position. That key, you can just literally let that dangle there. What I always do, to be honest with you, you'll still leave it in there. It's not going to hurt for it to sit there. But So why would I want my camper off? People ask all the time, well, what's this switch doing? Well, you have things inside the camper, such as a carbon monoxide detector that are wired in, the clock for the radio. Those are running nonstop. Well, I'm sorry, but after about 3 days of running nonstop, your battery's going to be completely dead. So when I'm done camping, when I'm done using my camper, turn this off. Turn it to the off position. Once it's off, it's not going to be draining your battery. So it's actually better for your battery, it's better for the camper to have that battery switch. Same thing, if I had an electrical fire inside the camper, I can come outside. What can I do? I can come outside real quick, turn this off. It's killing the electricity to the camper now. We're using it now, so we're going to turn it on.
So that's on.
It's on right now. It's hot.
Okay. So, okay. Do you take the key completely out when you turn it off, or you don't have to?
You don't have to. Some people do. Some people take that key and they might put it on the key ring or the keys for the actual camper itself. As a
Okay.
reminder that, hey, I'm going to unlock the door. I better turn the camper switch on. You'll be surprised. You'll turn it off one day. You'll get to the campground and go, what the heck's going on?
Yeah.
Before you realize, oh, that's right. You'll go back to the video and go, battery switch.
All right.
It's gonna happen. You're
Okay.
gonna call me and say, Adam, this is what's going on, and I don't know what to do. Did you check your battery switch? Adam, have a good weekend. We'll talk to you later, bud. It happens all the time. Don't feel bad about it.
All right.
That's why we're here. You can call us anytime. What I'd like to do, we're gonna keep going around the camper
All right,
itself.
we'll move
guys.
around. We'll come around.
We'll go over the hitches last. What we have here, guys, is just a light. Light for hooking up at night. Maybe you want to be splitting with, you have wood in the back of the van, you want to be splitting it for the fire, you can do all that without having to use a flashlight. This is my city water connection. This is where you're actually going to hook your fresh water hose right up to here and then turn the hose on. I'll show you because that's all part of your accessories pack. The next thing we have is the antifreeze kit. This is actually where it'll pull antifreeze from a jug into your camper for winterization. Do you plan on winterizing this camper yourself, or are you going to have us do
I
it?
think we might have you do that.
Perfect. So I won't even, this is pretty in
I
depth.
looked at the video. You put the.
There's very little room for error. when
Does
you
it
do
use the water pump to suck it? Is that?
Yeah,
is that-
absolutely.
And just this is a dumb question, but you hook this up with a hose to the wherever your water
Yep.
is. Do you have then a shorter hose to use for your black water tank, or do you use the same
Yep,
hose?
I'll show you.
Okay. Okay. It
More,
seems like
more storage here, guys, and these little clips. That's what these clips are for here. These clips are just for holding that storage door open.
Why don't you demonstrate that, hon, since I didn't catch that? Perfect.
Now, so we can go over this stuff better. I'm going to put this, you've seen how to put the beds in. I'm going to put this one in.
All right, I'm going to watch you again.
I'll probably put both of them in. We'll be done with it.
Okay.
Alrighty. Now we're ready to put them in.
So you can stay in it like this with them all
Absolutely,
in.
with them all in.
It's called turtling. It is.
We might turtle.
Well, that's what it is. These look like best for the two-person job, huh? One person holding while one person.
on your keys, each one of these, you can lock these so that they don't come down while you're traveling or anything like that.
All right.
Moving on. Right here is the vent for my refrigerator. All this is an overflow for the refrigerator. So this will drip water when you have your refrigerator on. It's nothing to be alarmed about. We talked about the hose, hooking up a hose at the actual campsite to get water to it. Well, if you're going off the grid or you're going to a campground that doesn't have water hookup, this is my onboard water tank. This is where I can actually fill the water if I wanted to. I can take a hose, put the hose in here, turn the hose on. There's a monitor panel inside. You can see your tank getting more and more full. Or what most people do, like myself, I'll fill this up until the hose goes shooting out. When the hose goes shooting out, you know it's completely full. Right here, this is my power cord. So, it is a twist lock. The cord will plug in here.
And that's a 50 amp?
30 amp.
30 amp,
30
okay.
amp. So it goes in, it twists, and then you can lock the collar down to make sure that that's locked in place. If you go to some different sites, like in Branson, you might very well have cable or satellite hookup at the campground. That's where that'll plug in for the inside of the camper. When it comes to things like the TVs and the stereos that are in this camper, it's one thing I honestly don't go over it with my customers because there's so many different radios, there's so many different TVs. That's one thing I tell my customers when you're at home. The first time you're playing with it, because they do so much. It's AM, FM, CD, DVD, MP3, MP4. You can plug your little SD card reader in and pull your pictures onto the screen. The one thing I tell people to do when you're playing with that at home, like if you're doing it tonight or you're doing it tomorrow, have 1 or 2 cocktails first because it'll be frustrating. It just makes it a little easier. But it does so much. It's cool. It's great stuff. But even being able to plug it in, it's pretty dummy proof. What's funny is I struggle with it. I still struggle with my phone. I'm 30 years old and I struggle with my phone. My nephews, because I put it in French one day, and my nephew's like, "Oh, you don't know how to do that?" And then they got it into Spanish, and they're 10. I can't do it, but they can. So as we're moving around, guys, we're almost done with the outside now. That's the overflow for the refrigerator. That's just an overflow tube. It's supposed to hang out, and it'll drip water from time to time. It's part of it. The next thing we have here, guys, this is the business end. Everyone's seen that show, that scene on Christmas Vacation with Cousin Eddie emptying the sewer hose. Basically what you're going to have, you'll have a hose here that comes in your kit. That sewer hose is going to clip onto here just like this lid does, okay, and it'll turn and lock in place. What you're going to do is this is dumping my tanks. So this is dumping before I leave the campground. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come over here. The first thing I'm going to do, I tell people, you have 2 pipes here. You have a big pipe, you have a small pipe. You will always empty the big pipe first. That's my black tank. Pull the valve open. You'll hear it going down the sewer hose, and you'll hear it hitting the bottom of basically what they call the dump tank at the campground, okay? Once it's done, then I'll come over here and I will pull the handle right here for my gray tank. Now you'll hear your gray tank is just soapy, dirty water. We'll flush that sewer hose out, okay? And it's going to dump everything out. Once you hear the water stop running, then I'll go ahead. We talked about the black tank flush on the other side. I'll go ahead, I'll hook my hose up to the other side. I'll turn that hose on. Leaving the black dump valve open, it will clean the inside of that black tank.
You leave this one open.
Yep.
when you leave
When you leave that one open, it won't hurt it.
Okay.
But before you start driving home, what do
Close them.
you have to make sure you shut both of them. Otherwise, that stuff just, people don't appreciate that going down the highway.
Okay, gotcha.
The next thing we have here, guys, is you have a key on the inside there. There's just an outside shower in here. It's just a little shower wand that comes out. If you had the family dog camping, or if you were at the beach one day and you want to wash your feet off before you go and walk into the camper, you can do so.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on this thing.
Which all this is a little storage compartment. It's just access to more pumps and stuff on the inside of the camper in the back there. Any questions at all on the outside? Okay. The very last thing I have for you, getting your camper set up. Imagine you are at the campsite. the very first thing I'm going to do at the campsite. I'm going to back in and figure out exactly where I want my camper. After that's done, you always want to get your camper level side to side first. Well, Adam, how am I going to do that? In this kit of accessories, there's blocks, what we call Lynx leveling blocks, that I'm going to show you. Those are what you would stack up and put them under the tires. Whether you back up on them or you pull forward on top of them does not matter. They have little wheel chocks that'll clip into them too, so that when you unhook, it'll hold you there. You'll always get your camper level first. Once the camper's level, you will get the camper level side to side first. Front and back, you use your tongue jack. So you can crank that tongue up, you can crank that tongue down to get it forward, to get it level front and back.
So do you usually just bring a level, or
I use the level app on my phone. It works great.
All right.
The next thing, once you do that, then I can go ahead and put all 4 of my jacks down.
Okay.
Those jacks, you don't use those jacks. The jacks you see in the corners, so many people are like, oh, cool, that's what you use to level your camper up. No. If you do that, it's 4 carriage bolts is all that hold those things on. You'll twist them, you'll bend them, you won't be able to crank them back up. You'll do more damage than you will good. All right. Guys, I need about 10 more minutes for you.
All right.
Because really, the inside, very, 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 very self-explanatory on the inside. You are familiar how to use a microwave. Not too much we have to go over there. We talked about the exhaust hood. It'll turn on even without it being closed, but you do need to open it in the back. Right here we have a knife rack. People always think it's a vent. No, it's actually a built-in knife rack. So you can actually put some steak knives and stuff right down in here. As far as igniting all your burners and stuff, pretty self-explanatory. You go to the light feature, it's actually got a sparker built right into it. So for the oven, it's a little different. The oven, it's almost like an old school oven where you have to go to pilot on, and there's actually a little hole back in here that you'll see. You do need to use a matchstick, okay, to get the oven to light. But then it's got then it does have your temperature settings on here.
Do people just leave the
There
pilot on then?
No, I always turn it off,
Okay.
off completely. No reason for it to be running and sucking gas for no reason.
Okay.
One thing about the oven, from experience, I've grown up around this industry. I was that guy. A buddy of mine got a brand new camper. He's like, hey, we're going out to the campground tonight. Do you want to come? I was like, yeah, man, I'll bring some beer. I'll bring some snacks. So what do? I'm the one who's like, man, what am I going to take out there to eat? So I called him up. I was like, hey, I'm at the store. What would you want to snack on? Do the kids want anything? He's like, yeah, man, let's have some pizza. I should have just stopped and got pizza. I'm like, oh, he's got nothing. That'll be great to be able to show him how to use the oven. Got back. Frozen pizzas don't fit in here. They don't fit here.
Oh.
Just before you go and buy one. So then we were those people at the campground that had a hacksaw out sawing a frozen pizza to make it fit in there. Pizza rolls, if you're going to the camper, are one of the handiest things you can put in here for cooking with. As I don't know if you know what a pizza pizzazz is. They're awesome. Because we use the pizza pizzazz. It sits on the countertop, and it's a carousel deal that cooks it from top and bottom. They're great for tater tots, hash browns, french fries. We use all that kind of stuff. The windows, guys, on the inside here, they all crank out. They got the little handles. And they're jealousy windows, so they'll crank out this way. The air conditioner. You do have the thermostat here, guys. Very, very similar to how the thermostat is going to work in your home.
The crank. These things are the cranks.
Yep.
Okay.
They just turn.
Okay.
So right now, the cooling, you have cool, you have fan, you have off, and you have heat. Then you have fans auto and on. If you're ever camping and it's a summertime, and it's very, very warm outside, you'll want to turn the air conditioner on and leave it on all the time. Just turn the fan on high. Let it run on high. What happens with auto, your air conditioner, it's going to run for a while, and all of a sudden it's going to run and it's going to shut off. It's going to run, it's going to shut off. It's going to run and shut off. Well, eventually it's going to run, shut off, and not turn back on because the capacitors on the top freeze up. If you're running it non-stop in that extreme heat, it'll just continuously run. They don't have time to build up condensation, and then shuts off, and then they freeze up. So if it's very, very warm out, just run your air conditioner and run it on high all the time. You can still adjust your temperature, but you're just going to run it on high. It's good practice. These air conditioners, it's not an air conditioner like your home. Your home, you can take it from 80 to 65, and you could probably do that within an hour or two. These guys, they're designed to cool the ambient air temperature outside, cool that ambient temperature 10 degrees. So, if it's 110 with a heat index, it's going to cool your camper down to 100. Again, it's not going to feel 100 in here. It'll feel cool. You'll walk in, you'll be like, oh, that feels good. But it's the ambient temperature 10 degrees. So just a key little note there. The TV is one thing I always tell people. This you kind of have to be careful of, because you can pull this TV out, okay? You can pull it out. It angles wherever you want it to go. If you look right here, there's a little hook. That hook is going to hook right in here. This little claw is going to hook in there for traveling. So, I will close it. What I always do is I grab the TV firmly from the top and bottom, and you'll have to wiggle it a little bit, okay? Now it's locked in that position. It can't go anywhere. Better yet, it's holding this away from the slide too, when that slide out comes in and out. So I've had people call me before, Adam, I can't get this TV to go back in place. What were you doing? You got to be firm with it. You're not going to hurt the TV. Grab it by top and bottom, and then you can literally just kind of basically wiggle it back and forth to get it to go closed. You have another light under here. Just a push button, okay? The push button, it's hard to see. You'll be looking for a switch. It's just right there in the middle. The refrigerator. The refrigerator you have on, okay? Right now it's off. You have an on button. And what it's going to do. So I'm on right now, everything. I got it set to the coolest. Now that it's rebooted itself, it's on auto. Auto is what you'll run this refrigerator on all the time. What auto does, auto means, hey, the first thing when you turn your refrigerator on, the refrigerator asks itself, how are we going to run ourselves today? First thing it checks, am I plugged in? Hey, great, I'm plugged in. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to run off power. But now I have my food packed up. I'm on auto in the refrigerator, set to the coldest setting. I got my food packed up. We're getting ready to go to Branson. So what do? You unplug the camper from home, put the cord away. Auto says, hey, I just lost power. It doesn't know if a storm came by and you lost power or if you're going to Branson. So what it does, auto says, hey, I lost power. I'm going to go to my backup source. Your backup source is propane. As long as I have that valve facing the tank I want to run off of and have that tank on, the propane will maintain the cold of this refrigerator going down the road. So that's how you're running this as you're traveling. It's running off propane to maintain its coldness going down the road. To cool it down, I have to be plugged in. You have to be plugged in to cool that down. It'll cool down on propane, but it's going to take it a week or two to cool down on propane. When it's plugged in, it only takes a day or two to cool itself down. So don't anticipate, hey, I'm going to plug this camper in, run to the store, come back, and put stuff in the refrigerator right away. Because it's going to take, it's probably 24 to 36 hours to cool itself down to the point where then I can put food in it, okay? Right up here is my antenna. Nothing you have to do. Doesn't crank up, doesn't crank down. The only thing you can do is you can push this and turn it different directions. And what that does is that might help pull in some of the signal, okay? Some of the signal for your deal. The last thing I want you to see, I should have showed you this while I had this out, but it'll be okay. You can peek your camera in here. See this little green light? There's a little button next to it. So now that green light's off. Leave that green light on all the time. What that is that's my cable booster. If you're ever at a campground somewhere and you're going, my neighbors are watching a baseball game, why can't I? We've got the same exact camper, why can't I watch the baseball game? Check that button. That button is basically an electric piece that runs off this that helps pull that signal in better. So all that is that's what they call a cable booster button. It's just boosting the signal. We get calls all the time from people that say, hey, I'm at the campground, my neighbors are watching the Cardinals game, my other neighbors are watching the Cubs game, I just want to watch something because my grandkids are complaining and we only brought one DVD. Did you plug in your cable? Is your cable booster light on? They're like, what's that? It's just things you forget about over time. You push the little button on, you're good to go. Next thing we have, guys, this is my master fuse panel right here. has all your master fuses and stuff on it. All those are breakers, and then there's individual fuses as well. Right here is a carbon monoxide detector. Again, that battery switch, when I go to turn that battery switch off, that's one of the things that'll turn off. That's something that would drain your battery all the time. Right here we have a cell phone charging station. A lot of people, you'd be surprised, you're getting ready to go camping. The one thing you forget, I'm guilty of it is as much as the next guy. You worry about packing so much. I always forget to grab that little cube that your wall charger plugs into, because whether it's my truck, my boat, anywhere I go, everything's USB. Well, it's nice to have that if you do forget the little cube to plug it into a regular outlet. Moving around again, these lights here, guys, just little tap switches here. Not much to go over in the shower, guys. There's really not. Regular shower. It's got hot and cold. The one thing I always do show you on the actual shower, when you're taking a shower, this isn't a shower like at home. You're not going to be. I'll turn this thing on at home. I'll do 2-3 minutes worth of stuff with this running. That way, when I get into it, it's nice and warm. You ain't doing that in a camper. Camper, you got to get in, you turn it on, and you're going to go, oh, it's cold, oh, it's cold, oh, and then it gets warm. Well, the last thing I want to do is turn this thing off completely, and then have to do that all again after I'm all done getting lathered up. So instead of turning it off here, what I'll do is I'll turn it off here. A little switch right on the end of the handle. Because why I'll do it here, it'll hold the hot water up here. When you turn this on and off, it's never going to shut off completely. This will drip a little bit of water, but it's holding the hot water there. Then what I can do once I'm all lathered up, now I can, hey, shower off real quick, then I'm good to go. Then I can go ahead and turn these knobs off when you're completely done. For traveling, doors must be closed, and this must be latched and locked to travel. Now these can't swing around and break anything. Next thing we have here, guys, does have an exhaust fan. I'll pull down on this little black handle here. Pull down on the handle, open that up. You have settings 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then you have the off setting. And a lot of times, if you look up in here with the camera, actually, and I'll have you take a peek too. See how you can see there? It's like there's a dome over top of it. These Flagstaffs come with a max air vent. You can leave this open all the time if you want to. Rain, wind, doesn't matter. This helps your camper breathe. So I'm going to leave it open right now. You're going to drive this thing home, and you'll be able to see that, hey, if it rains over the weekend, hey, I didn't get any rain in there at all. Leave this open all the time, it'll help it breathe. Even when the camper's closed up. Now, if I'm going to be closing it up and I know, hey, we're not using the camper for the next 2 or 3 months, then I'll go ahead and close this. But every once in a while, even when this is stored at home, every once in a while, I'll pop into this thing and open it up, just to let the camper breathe. Actually, I'll shut it.